Record of Ragnarok chapter 65 has provided quite a few interesting things to talk about. Of course, one little hint about round 8 to talk about, the long awaited reveal of a human fighter fighting in the tournament Kintoki, and then something I did not see coming whatsoever. The name drop of a character I didn't think we'd get to see in Record of Ragnarok, Sigfried. Let's discuss. So at the end of the chapter when Buddha is talking to Kintoki, he says this: "The man who will shake up Ragnarok, the dragon-slaying hero Sigfried." And when he says it, it's not really in a good way, as he's telling Kintoki to look into this person. If you don't know, Sigfried in some mythology connects to Brynhilde, the main Valkyrie in the series. We don't know which version of Sigfried will actually appear in the story, but most have him as a human. Considering Buddha's face like this, I get the sense that Sigfried could be a human that betrays humanity and ends up fighting for the gods potentially. I just have that feeling for some reason. It makes sense for Buddha to be the one to mention this, as he was the god who betrayed the gods and joined humanity. And as well, this could relate to Brynhilde, as Sigfried does in some other mythology. So yeah, very interesting stuff. Considering Kintoki being told to look into Sigfried by Buddha here, this most likely means he won't be fighting in round 8. Going over his design again, I like it pretty good. Does look very similar to the Fate version of Kintoki, which I guess isn't a bad thing, but not really as unique I was hoping. But I quite enjoy it so far. He may be half human, half god, or half demon due to like the horn and his feet, etc. We'll have to wait and see more information about that. But before I continue, if you're new to this channel and enjoy Record of Ragnarok content, please consider hitting that subscribe button, it'll be greatly appreciated. Now, let's continue. So the one hint we got about round 8 is as follows. Right now, we're giving the arena a first class makeover, specially made for round 8. So it's very possible that round 8 will have an arena that's more so set up to enhance the fight, similar to Jack vs Hercules, where London was a major factor. Round 8 will be the next installment of something like that, as we haven't really had arena based fights too often since then. And you could even say that the arena hasn't really mattered in any fight apart from Jack vs Hercules, so seeing something like that again could be pretty cool. Something else to also mention about this panel, it seems as though we see a demon flying around here, and considering the emphasis of Beelzebub this chapter, and really ever since the Buddha fight, him fighting does make a lot of sense, so I'm just going to stick with Beelzebub as something I feel should really happen now. But let's talk about what Beelzebub did this chapter. Of course, all the gods are triggered after Hades was defeated by Huang, especially the one and only Adamas, who goes out of his way to actually attempt to kill Brynhilde, but the one who saved Brynhilde was Beelzebub. Not for, I guess, good reasons, more so for his own benefit, as Brynhilde dying would result in the end of Ragnarok. As such, the enjoyment Beelzebub is seeking won't be acquired. So of course, Beelzebub wants Ragnarok to continue. With it also being revealed that alongside Adamas, Beelzebub is also someone who wishes to wipe out all of humanity. So yes, he has his goal about wanting to die, but he also doesn't like humanity whatsoever, so it seems. Also mentioning something very interesting about how a lot of gods, not just Adamas himself, are finding it hard to keep themselves under control. And when he says that, we see the likes of Odin and Loki. Loki seems to be walking around. He was my initial prediction for round 8, him versus Akita, but which could still happen. He is walking around. He is beyond triggered. He has been ever since the gods got their first win. Odin is still being very suspicious. We had that weird interaction between Beelzebub and Odin a few chapters ago where Beelzebub pretty much finessed him. That's still very interesting. Odin definitely won't be fighting yet, in my opinion. But who could benefit from a unique type of ring? Potentially Loki. Beelzebub, maybe, but I get the sense that he's more someone it doesn't really matter where he fights, he's going to be an absolute monster. As we saw this chapter, there's one swipe being able to take off Adamas's arm and stop him in his tracks right there. Similar to how Beelzebub took out that monster he created a few chapters ago. Just a single swipe and it's destroyed. So without a doubt, Beelzebub is an absolute powerhouse. And if he is fighting next, big rips to the human that he's fighting, especially considering that humanity now has the lead for the first time. Getting a 2-fight lead at this stage in the tournament, I don't think is going to happen for either side. Most likely a back and forth potentially, but who knows. I thought Hades was going to win personally or draw, so yeah, who knows what could happen. Maybe humanity will get a 2-fight lead. But if Beelzebub is fighting next, unless he's facing the one and only Rasputin, I think he's most likely got it. Regarding some information we got regarding Huang, we have the likes of Sasaki, Akita, etc. talking about how throughout all of history, they couldn't find a man more worthy of the title of king, referring to Huang. Maybe disregarding King Leonidas as a king, potentially a future fighter for Record of Ragnarok. But going back to the Sigfried situation, my guess is that he's a human powerhouse fighter that has some connection to Brynhilde that is going to be fighting for the gods, which may fix some roster issues. We know Hades replaced Buddha on the gods team in the, Record of Ragnarok tournament. However, that still doesn't really balance things out. So having a random human fighter or just adding one more god to the fighters list, that would pretty much fix everything. And then on top of that, a pretty wild twist of a random human fighting for the gods actually betraying humanity to get some crazy shocked reactions. And if that human was to win their fight as well, that could connect to stuff maybe post Ragnarok, as I do think there's going to be more story after the tournament itself, especially regarding the likes of Odin and what he's planning, maybe taking over as the one supreme god. Which, talking about the supreme god Zeus, he's just depressed, as expected. It was more so rage when all the other gods lost, when Poseidon lost, rage. But now my dude is simply just depressed, so it feels bad for our boy Zeus. Next chapter leaks come out in around 11-12 days. I'm guessing we're going to get the reveal of who's fighting in round 8. I don't think it's Kentoki, as he's being told by Buddha to, look into Sigfried. Kentoki seems to be very similar to the likes of Buddha, which is pretty cool. That's exciting. He seems pretty badass, pretty strong, potentially half demon. That's going to be something cool to learn about in the future of the story. Let me know down below who you think's going to fight next, what you think's going on with Sigfried, what his role will be in the story, and just overall your thoughts on Record of Ragnarok, Sumatrino Valkyrie Chapter 65.